Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. I can tell that most of you realise that Tesla have literally bet the entire company on the 4680 battery form. No joke, the future of Tesla depends on when they can perfect the manufacturing process of the 4680. So let's see what we can infer from the latest earnings call. It sounds like the Cathode Road pilot plant has not yet hit 10 gigawatt hour capacity. As Elon said on the call, it is expected to have that much capacity, implying they are not there yet. I don't believe he'd given any precise timeframes as to when they would hit 10 gigawatt hours a year capacity there, but I believe it was mentioned that it should be sometime this year. I think hitting that 10 gigawatt hour a year level is somewhat of a milestone for the 4680 battery. It means that Tesla can achieve 10 gigawatt hours a year from each production line they install. We've seen the Cathode Road line, and we can judge to an extent its size from the videos we've seen. It appears significantly smaller than anything like Nevada. Once this is cracked, I assume they can start replicating these lines everywhere. Although, judging by what was said, I also think that once they got to this level, they should have the other battery factories set up and ready to go. Why? Because on the earnings call, Elon said they've already ordered most of the equipment for battery production in Berlin, and then much of it for Austin as well. In other words, as soon as they've cracked the production process, there's no messing around. The factories will be used immediately to start making batteries. And why not? This is what we should expect, as it needs to be all hands on deck for the 4680 production. Elon then says he feels quite confident in achieving volume scale production of the 4680 batteries next year, which he then reinforces again, saying, and basically this is just a guess because we don't know for sure, but it appears as though we're about 12, probably no more than 18 months away from volume production of the 4680. The question is, what is classified as volume production? For the short-term stock price, you want it to be around 100 gigawatt hours a year of in-house production. For the long-term stock price, you want this to mean that we can simply replicate as many battery production lines as necessary. And yes, you might say they're going to be nickel constrained, but they won't be iron constrained. In fact, Elon went on about iron cathode batteries in the earnings call, which, as many of you know, is something I think is a major part of Tesla's growth. Elon was talking about LFPs more in a relation to energy, however, but it still seems to sound like something Tesla is passionate about, and we might continue to see become more popular in the cars, particularly in the Model 2. But either way, so what? Why not just build as many battery factories and just make tons of LFP 4680 batteries? There is practically an unlimited demand for them in energy. They could just use them all in energy anyway. No reason to hold back. Why is there such a high demand for energy storage? Simple. ROI. They give consumers an impressive return. The South Australian battery paid for itself in about 2 years, for example. And that was likely with much more expensive battery technology. But Tesla is still losing money on this side of the business. So it needs to be sorted. As we all know, it's huge, and possibly even bigger than auto sales. Panasonic have even said the 4680 battery production process is complex. Panasonic's EV battery head has said that producing these larger cells requires you to raise your craftsmanship 1 or 2 full levels, or there will be safety issues. Panasonic is also working on their pilot production line for tests before moving into a commercial scale. We know the 4680 battery wasn't the easiest thing to research and develop in the first place. In fact, it sounds like the absolute total opposite of anything like easy. But now it sounds like scaling up production might also be quite a challenge. We're all waiting for the massive breakout from Tesla when it skyrockets to $2,000 or even $5,000 stock price. Well, it will all come down to ramping up battery production to scale. Once they master that process, then that's it. Tesla is an if company. If they master scaling up battery production, then Tesla are the biggest company in the world. Tesla know this, and they're not messing around as a result, which is why they have all the battery manufacturing equipment in Texas and Berlin ready to go. Once they've refined their production process, it will be all go. It will be the same for Panasonic in Nevada. Once Tesla get past this hurdle, then they can finally expand the business the way we want. No longer constrained by battery supply. I've been mentioning LFP batteries in the past as I believe they will be a crucial element to major battery production scaling, and it looks like this was reaffirmed by Elon in the conference call. Essentially, Tesla going to go massive with LFP batteries, particularly how Elon was saying there's just so much iron and plenty of lithium, they will simply not fall short of supply. But for production, moving from a lab environment to a pilot line to scaling up, as we're hearing, is incredibly difficult. Clearly for battery production too, not just autos. We just haven't reached the level we want yet. Elon is confident they can get it sorted, and Tesla have said that when you're moving at orders of magnitude, then it can be hard to predict timelines and breakthroughs. It's just certain tasks that you don't know how long they will take to achieve, and I don't believe Tesla actually have an answer either of just how long battery production might take. Hopefully though, it will not be like FSD or robotaxi promises, with continual delays until the magic is achieved. I think one of the challenges they are experiencing is the battery electrode preparation through the dry slurry method, and are likely working on how to ensure they have uniform material composition and uniform mass loading of the material while preparing an electrode, both of which are absolutely critical to mass production of high quality cells. In addition to that, adding silicone into the anode might have been more complicated than Tesla thought too. But Elon says though that in 18 months there'll be a volume production for the 4680 batteries, and that is in addition to suppliers. We don't really know what volume production means. Perhaps that's when it's all go with Berlin and Texas. We hear Berlin alone could have a 250 gigawatt hour year battery capacity. I'm going to guess that Texas is also at least that, and I'm willing to bet that Nevada can probably double that too. In other words, we could be at 500 gigawatt hours in-house, and possibly that again from other suppliers in 18 months, which is the end of 2022. However, by then we would expect to have the Model 2 factory complete too. That would mean they need to have another battery factory there, which would likely be their biggest. Elon has said that the Model Y will be the best-selling car or vehicle of any kind in the world, and probably next year, which would have to outsell the Toyota Corolla, and we're talking next year while still battery and production constrained. In other words, they might even exceed 2 million units a year of Model Y. You keep hearing me saying I think the Model 2 factory will have a capacity of around 5 million units a year. I think it has to. And if the Model Y at around $50,000 is the biggest selling car in the world, what's going to happen when Tesla launch a $25,000 model? Obviously, the demand is going to be more than twice as high when it's at half the cost, as supply and demand are not linear. So the capacity will have to be 5 million. And yes, sure, they could start a Model 2 factory in Texas later, and perhaps Europe too. I would say there's possibly enough demand for in excess of 10 million Model 2s a year. But are the 4680 batteries really an if? Let's just be realistic here. Tesla should be the most profitable and most valuable company in history if they can get the batteries sorted. Tesla have designed these amazing batteries, we know they work, and have these outstanding specifications. They just need to work out how to make as many as they possibly can. Once they've cracked that, then they can scale up as much as they require, with new factories wherever necessary, whilst maintaining all the demand they will ever need. A 4680 production line is literally like a money printing machine. No joke, all these batteries Tesla produce have no problem being earmarked for some product that makes profit, whether in a car or energy storage. They simply have to make more batteries to have more money. The more batteries Tesla make, the more money they make. But remember, the real motivation in getting these batteries going isn't to make the most money, it's to save the world, which is an order of magnitude more important. Therefore, they're going to do everything they can to get the production of these batteries working. All necessary resources will be pulled into this, all the best and smartest people necessary to achieve this, all the money necessary, every effort possible is going to be applied to getting these batteries produced. Therefore, Tesla is not an if company, it's going to be a when company. When Tesla achieve the ability to replicate these battery production lines and can demonstrate and prove it to the market, then Tesla will be the largest company in the world. They don't need robotaxis or even FSD to achieve that. We will see progress in car deliveries and FSD in the meantime, which should move the stock price a bit, but for a real jump to close to the kind of stock prices we talk about and dream about, the $2,000 to $5,000 range, we're going to have to see Tesla prove that they can work their magic on the 4680 production lines. This will require them to probably hit around 500 gigawatt hours a year in-house production, But it actually wouldn't be the total that really mattered, but it would be the speed as to which Tesla went from perhaps 200 gigawatt hours a year to this 500 gigawatt hours a year production. That's what really is important. It's the speed as to which they can scale up these batteries. Yes, shortage of nickel might play a bit of a role into the ramping up, but LFP is such a good substitute that Tesla could still have a very successful company without nickel entirely. In other words, Tesla is not dependent on sourcing nickel. And obviously FSD is a big deal for the stock price too, but it's moot if Tesla can't make enough cars with FSD due to battery limitations. We've been continually hearing from the Tesla Q naysayers that Tesla will be destroyed when the competition arrives. Didn't happen. Or Tesla has a demand problem. Nope. Or Tesla will never make a profit. But no, they're always wrong. I'm surprised we don't hear them talking more about Tesla not being able to pull off the 4680 battery production. I'm sure there's a lot of FUD that could be thought up around that issue. It just goes to show they don't know Tesla well enough. I suppose if they did, they wouldn't be writing FUD in the first place and would be investing instead. But this is obviously a really tough task for Tesla. It's also a serious commitment to achieve this. Who else is going to be this committed? Who else has the talent, experience, resources, knowledge? And who else would gain this much from battery technology? As in, what other company could justify such an investment? Tesla likely purchases something like 70% of all batteries in the world. Therefore, 4680s are obviously an order of magnitude more valuable to Tesla than any other company. So just this alone is a translation of, there are no Tesla competitors coming. Just a lot of loud noise to get investors into other wannabe companies to ride on the coattails of Tesla until they crash. This is called a bubble. Just like other .com companies riding on Amazon in the .com bubble. This is absolutely nothing new. In the South Sea bubble in the early 18th century, we even saw at one stage some scammers put ads in the paper asking for investors without even mentioning anything about what the business does. They were all scams. It's just human psychology. People missed out on the real deal, and then they all flock to the alternatives, hoping they'll hit it big too. But they almost always turn out to be nothing. We're witnessing the same thing right now with Bitcoin, obviously. It's regret mixed with greed, and plenty of people to take advantage of that. Anyway, as I keep saying, it's the battery production we really need to keep our eyes on, and it's paramount to the success of Tesla. Once they achieve this, then forget any competition. Not that they're even close now, but this is a huge barrier of entry that secures the entire decade for Tesla in the auto, energy, and battery industries. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.